They say every woman has a limit. I found mine the night I realized no one was coming to save me. Not my family. Not my friends. Not the man I thought I could trust. So I made a choice. One I never thought I'd make. One I can't take back. But what I didn't know was that he saw me. And he was ready to pay the price. Not for my body. For something far more dangerous. This is my story. Raw. Messy. And unforgettable. You're listening to African Love Chronicles. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because once this begins, you won't want to miss a single second. Grab your popcorn and let's dive right in. I used to believe that if you worked hard, stayed humble, and loved people with everything you had, the world would eventually be kind to you. Lagos taught me otherwise. It doesn't just buzz, it bleeds. I stood on the narrow balcony of our tiny flat in Ademola, watching the morning unfold below me. The flat was a memory than a home. The walls held echoes of Papa's voice before he died, of Farida's laughter before she started disappearing, and Mama's prayers that now sounded more desperate than devout. My faded tank top clung to my damp back as Hawker screamed, a baby wailed somewhere nearby, and a kiki honked like it had something to prove. The scent of frying akara floated up from the buka downstairs. I'd learned long ago that beauty meant nothing here. My face could turn heads. My body had curves that strangers often undressed with their eyes. But it didn't matter when the house rent was due and my mother couldn't walk to the toilet without wincing. "Mummy, please try and eat," I called as I stepped back inside. That morning, the gas had run out halfway through boiling pap. I didn't bother trying to fix it. I had just poured what was left into a bowl and carried it to Mama in the sitting room. She was on the sofa, legs propped on worn pillows, her eyes cloudy with pain. The swelling was worse again. Her drugs had finished 3 days ago. I hadn't told her that I couldn't afford the refill. "Try and eat a little," I murmured. "God will provide, Zainab," she whispered. I didn't answer. I'd heard those words so many times they no longer comforted me. They haunted me. I adjusted my scarf, slipped on my flats, and picked up my bag. Inside, I had 2,800 Nigerian nairas. Just enough for a week of transport if I didn't eat lunch. I shut the door behind me with a sigh so deep it felt like it came from my bones. "Zainab," Mama called from her worn couch. Her legs, swollen and dark from poor circulation, barely moved anymore. "Don't forget to take that pain balm to Sister Kemi's pharmacy. Maybe she'll give us the medicine on credit again." I nodded, slipping on my sandals and grabbing my cracked Android phone. "I'll try, Mama." She looked at me then, really looked, and her eyes were full of quiet panic. I knew she saw it in mine too. We were running out of time. Out of money. Out of options. Koratek was nothing like Ademola. It was air-conditioned ambition stacked in glass and chrome. Every floor smelled like freshly printed currency and imported coffee. I worked on the 8th floor as a junior data analyst, paid just enough to survive and too little to escape. And then there was him. Ademola Adeoye. Our CEO. Young. Brilliant. Controlled. Beautiful in a way that made me feel small when I looked too long. We had history. Not the kind that makes good gossip, but the kind that lives quietly under the skin. I first met him 3 years ago at a university career fair. I was that ambitious girl in oversized heels who asked too many questions. He was the keynote speaker, already a legend at 30. He spoke like the world answered to him, and when I nervously approached afterward, he smiled. "You think differently," he said. He told me to apply to his company when I graduated. I did. Now he rarely looked at me twice. Except sometimes. Like last week. Late evening. Everyone gone. I was the last at my desk, correcting bad code, when I looked up to find him watching me from his glass office. He didn't smile. Just stared for a moment too long. Then he turned off the lights and left. I didn't sleep that night. Maybe the nights after too. Farida and I used to share everything, clothes, secrets, dreams. She was wild and beautiful and loud, and when Papa died, something in her snapped. I dove into school. She dove into the streets. She started working with Instagram boutiques, modeling, sugar daddies, crypto mentors. We argued all the time. "You want to die poor and holy," she snapped once. I want to live with my dignity, I hissed back. Your dignity can't pay rent. We stopped talking much after that. Until the knock came. They didn't really knock. They banged. I had barely gotten home from work when it happened. The sound rattled the entire metal door. Mama had already dozed off with a hot towel on her knees. I opened the door, thinking maybe it was a neighbor. It wasn't. 3 men stood there. Unmarked. Muscular. Dead-eyed. Zainab Alayemi? My lips parted, heart already racing. Yes? One of them, dark-skinned with a long tribal mark across his face, handed me a folder. Your sister borrowed 5 million naira. Missed all payments. Used your name and address as emergency contact. That makes you our responsibility. I blinked. I didn't sign anything. I don't even. He stepped forward, close enough for me to smell his cologne. We don't care. You have 7 days. Or we come for your mother first. And then they left. My knees buckled. I sat on the floor. The folder trembled in my hands. Farida. Of course. I spent that night scrolling through Google like it held a secret just for me. My fingers ached from typing. How to make 5 million fast in Nigeria. No capital jobs. Legit crypto flipping. Sponsorship for sick parents. I tried a crypto group. Scam. Lost 15,000 Nigerian nairas. I registered for a remote job. They stole my BDN and ghosted. I cried. Then I kept scrolling. Then, at 2:16 a.m. I clicked on a comment in an anonymous forum. There's a price for everything. Even what you thought was sacred. The link was hidden in code. I clicked. Velvet Circle, private auctions. Virginity sales. Highest bidder wins. I froze. I closed the tab. But I didn't forget it. The next day at work, I was numb. The only thing keeping me upright was adrenaline. At 4:50 p.m., I sat in the break room, laptop open, heart pounding. I typed slowly, one shaky letter at a time, back to that site. The screen loaded, Eve application. Verified users only. Zainab. I jumped. It was him. Ademola. He stood at the door, tie loosened, shirt sleeves rolled up. His eyes flicked briefly to the screen, then back to me. He said nothing. Just walked away. But his eyes, they burned through me. That night, I got a text from Farida. I messed up. Please meet me. 7 p.m. Mainland Mall rooftop. I found her there, sunglasses, hoodie, trembling. Do you know what you've done? I shouted. She started crying. I thought I could flip it. I didn't know they'd come for you. I didn't mean to. You listed me. I panicked. You're the responsible one. I thought you'd fix it like always. I turned to leave. She whispered. If you have a way out, even if it's dirty, take it. Don't end up like me. I didn't reply. But the next day, I applied. The woman from Velvet Circle called within hours. You will be listed as Eve. Virginity certified. No real names. One night. Consent required. Bids start at 20 million Nigerian nairas. Highest bidder only. No questions. I said yes. The next day, I didn't go to work. I waited. The auction went live. 20 million Nigerian nairas. Then 30 Nigerian nairas. Then 35 Nigerian nairas. Then 40 Nigerian nairas. My stomach flipped. My screen refreshed again. Final bid, 42.5 million Nigerian nairas. Client initials, LS. I didn't know who he was. They didn't tell me. But the number, it made me dizzy. I stared at it for a long time. Somewhere in me, relief sparked. But so did fear. Because the night was real now. The highest bidder had claimed me. And I would soon belong to a stranger. At least, that's what I thought. The night came too fast. I sat on the edge of the bed in the hotel suite Velvet Circle had sent me to. The room was draped in opulence, deep gold curtains, thick carpets that drank the sound of my bare feet, a four-poster bed so large I felt like a ghost drifting inside it. I couldn't stop shaking. The gown they'd provided was midnight blue, satin that clung to my skin like sin. It left my shoulders bare, the neckline dipped low enough to make me question everything I'd ever believed about modesty. A single diamond pendant rested between my breasts, a detail the velvet circle handler insisted would enhance allure. I stared at my reflection. This wasn't me. Zainab from Ademola didn't look like this. She didn't wear 5-inch heels or smoky eyeshadow or lipstick called seduction. But tonight, I wasn't her. I was Eve. And I was about to be sold. The escort arrived promptly at 9:15 p.m. A woman in a navy suit, earpiece in one ear, sunglasses despite the night. She gave no name, only nodded toward the sleek black car parked outside. I climbed in without speaking. My palms were slick with sweat, and the scent of the leather seats only made the silence worse. Who is he? That question pulsed through me with every kilometer. LS. I imagined a faceless man. Old? Foreign? Violent? Gentle? Would he talk to me? Would he touch me? Would I be able to go through with it? The city lights blurred as we crossed into a koi, and then we turned down a private drive lined with tall hedges and quiet wealth. The car stopped before a mansion with high walls and soft-lit pathways. It looked like the kind of place that swallowed girls like me whole. I stepped out. My legs almost gave out. The butler led me inside. Soft piano music floated through the air. Everything smelled like cedarwood and power. I was ushered into a private lounge, dimly lit, elegant. Your host will be with you shortly, the butler said and disappeared. I stood in the center of the room, trying to keep my breathing even. My heart, however, was galloping. Then I heard it. A door clicking shut. Footsteps. Slow. Measured. Confident. My skin prickled before I even turned. And when I did, my heart stopped. Ademola. My boss. His tie was gone. The top 2 buttons of his shirt undone. The way he looked at me, it was different. No boardroom silence. No corporate mask. He looked at me like he'd known I'd be here all along. Eve, he said, voice low. Rich. I forgot how to breathe. What are you doing here? I'm the one who bought the night. Silence. Thick. Loud. Violent. No, I whispered. This has to be a mistake. I saw your screen that day in the office, he said, stepping closer. I recognized the sight. I've known about Velvet Circle for a long time. I didn't plan to bid. Not until I realized it was you. I stepped back. You knew? I didn't want anyone else to have you. Those words hit me like lightning. He reached out, his fingers grazing my shoulder. I flinched. You shouldn't be here, I said, voice trembling. You're my boss. This is wrong. Maybe, he said, eyes searching mine. But it doesn't change the fact that I want you. Not for one night. I never wanted it to happen like this. But here we are. I couldn't speak. His hand slipped around my waist, slow, deliberate. His touch was warm, grounding. My body betrayed me. Heat unfurled in my belly. My skin tingled where he touched. Zainab, he murmured. Tell me to stop, and I will. But I didn't. Because somewhere beneath the fear, the shame, the layers of survival, I wanted him too. I had wanted him for longer than I dared admit. He leaned in. His mouth brushed mine, soft at first, then hungrier. He tasted like wine and want, like control carefully undone. My hands found his chest. I could feel his heart. It was racing too. The kiss deepened. My body pressed to his. Heat pulsed through me with every breath. His hands trailed down my back, finding the curve of my hips, the small of my spine. I gasped. He pulled away, just enough to whisper, "This isn't just about tonight." I opened my mouth to speak, but all I could do was breathe his name. Ademola. Let me show you how long I've wanted this. And then he kissed me again, deeper, hungrier. I melted into it. And for the first time in a long time, I let go. His kiss wasn't gentle. It was everything he'd held back for too long, months, maybe years, now pouring through his mouth, his hands, his breath. And I responded like someone who had been dying to be touched by someone who saw me. Not the daughter of a sick mother. Not the sister of a criminal. Not the broke girl from Ademola. Just me. His. He peeled the satin gown down my shoulders like it was sacred. I had never been naked in front of a man before, but in his eyes I wasn't exposed, I was worshipped. Zainab, he whispered, voice thick with restraint, I'm not going to rush this. But the moment his lips touched the curve of my collarbone, restraint melted. Hands everywhere. Mouths hungry. Bodies colliding like they'd waited lifetimes to be allowed this. And I let go, of shame, fear, logic, and let his touch rewrite every story I'd been told about myself. He made love to me like it meant something. And in the moment, it did. The morning light cut softly through the gold curtains. I blinked, slowly waking to the smell of cedarwood and coffee. I sat up. The sheets were soft. My dress was folded neatly on a nearby chair. The air was still warm from the night before. Ademola's side of the bed was empty. My heart twisted. Don't overthink. Maybe he's just in the kitchen. I wrapped a robe around myself and padded barefoot down the hallway. I found him in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, barefoot, pouring 2 mugs of coffee. His head turned slightly when he heard me. His smile was soft. Hey. Hey, I echoed, voice still morning rough. He handed me a mug. Our fingers brushed. I flinched at how intimate even that small touch felt. You okay? He asked. I nodded. Then hesitated. Are you okay? He leaned against the counter, taking a slow sip. I've never bought a woman before. I don't even know if you'll ever look at me the same again. I looked down at my cup, heart racing. I thought. I'd feel dirty, I admitted. But I don't. Not with you. His eyes darkened. That's dangerous to hear. I set the mug down. Why did you do it? I asked, finally. Why bid? He took a deep breath, then ran his hand through his hair. Because I knew someone else would. Someone worse. And I couldn't bear the thought of you being used. Not like that. I stared at him. So this was protection? No, he said, stepping closer. It started as that. But that's not what last night was. That was me wanting you. That was me choosing you. His hand reached up, cupping my face. And now I don't know how to go back to pretending I don't see you. My breath caught. But before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He looked at the screen. His jaw tightened. What is it? He didn't answer immediately. Then he said, someone hacked the auction database. Someone's trying to leak bidder names, and auction girls. My stomach dropped. You mean, they might find out about me? His eyes met mine, fierce, protective. I won't let that happen. But if it gets out. It won't. But we both knew the truth, if the wrong people found out, everything could unravel. Everything. The car ride back to my neighborhood felt colder than the air-conditioned silence inside it. I was no longer Eve. I was Zainab again. Poor girl from Ademola. Girl with secrets clawing at her throat. Ademola hadn't wanted me to leave. He asked me to stay, offered to take care of everything, the debt, Mama's medicine, even Farida. But something in me couldn't let him save me, not like that. Not yet. I needed space to breathe, to think. The night we shared still haunted every inch of my skin. His hands. His voice. The way he'd looked at me like I was made of something worth craving. But now that craving sat side by side with fear. Because if someone really was leaking information from the Velvet Circle, I wouldn't just be a poor girl anymore, I'd be a public scandal. I didn't even knock when I got home. I pushed the door open with trembling hands and found Mama asleep on the couch. Farida, on the other hand, sat at the dining table, awake, makeup smeared, eyes red-rimmed. She looked up. Her face broke. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to slap her. But instead, I walked up and wrapped my arms around her tightly. She cried against my shoulder. I'm sorry. I was stupid. I didn't know they'd threaten you. I didn't think it would get this bad. You never do, I whispered. I'll fix it. I swear. No, I said. I will. She looked at me then, confusion etched across her face. How? But I didn't answer. Because how do you tell your sister that you sold your innocence to a man you can't stop thinking about? How do you say that the worst thing you've ever done also feels like the only real thing you've ever known? That night, I couldn't sleep. My phone buzzed. A private number. I answered. A distorted voice said, "You're trending underground, Eve. The leak is coming." Then the line went dead. My blood turned to ice. I met Ademola in his car outside my office building 2 mornings later. He hadn't been in the office, and neither had I. But he texted me only one word. Now. I slipped into the back seat. He looked like hell. Hair uncombed, eyes shadowed, jaw clenched. You okay? I asked. No. He handed me a folder. Inside were images. Screenshots of the auction site. My listing. My face blurred, but not enough. They haven't gone public, he said. But they're threatening to. Someone is trying to blackmail the Velvet Circle owners. They want money, or they'll release everything. My throat closed up. Why me? I asked. Why this? Because you're vulnerable, he said. Because I care about you. And they can sense that. They think hurting you will hurt me. I looked out the window, heart pounding. I can't go back to normal after this, I whispered. Even if the leak doesn't happen, I'm not the same girl anymore. Ademola leaned forward. Good. That girl was surviving. This one? She's fighting. His hand reached across the space, fingers brushing mine. I don't care what the world thinks, he said. But I care about what happens to you. I want you, Zainab. Not just for a night. Not just in shadows. Tears filled my eyes. I wanted him too. But was that enough to outrun everything that threatened to destroy us? I woke up to chaos. The sun hadn't fully risen, but my phone was already shaking violently on the bedside table. Calls. Texts. Messages from unknown numbers. Then I saw it, the headline. Auctioned innocence, secret website leak exposes Nigeria's underground virginity market. My blood ran cold. Photos blurred. Names encrypted. But my listing, it was there. Farida whispered from the doorway, holding her own phone with trembling hands. You're on it. I couldn't breathe. The wall spun. Your listing, she choked. Someone posted the uncensored version on Telegram. Your face, your real face, is circulating. I barely remembered the drive to Coratech. Security blocked me at the entrance until Ademola himself stormed down and pulled me into the building like I was glass about to shatter. He led me into his private suite and shut the door behind us. His face was thunder. It wasn't supposed to happen like this, he muttered, pacing. I had the site owners on lockdown. Someone on the inside must have leaked it. They wanted to ruin us both. Us? I asked. Why would they care about me? He stopped. Looked at me with such intensity it stole my breath. Because I stopped bidding after you. I backed out of all corporate offers from a major investor tied to the leak. Because I fell in love with the one girl who was never supposed to matter in a room full of billionaires. Silence. I blinked. You love me? I've been trying not to, he admitted. Since the day you walked into that internship interview in oversized shoes and a fire in your voice. My heart fractured. I felt exposed. Hunted. But also, seen. I don't know if I can survive this, Ademola, I said quietly. My mother, she's already sick. Farida's spiraling. Everyone in my compound is looking at me like I'm the poster child for sin. He stepped closer. Then let me take you away from here. What? Away. A few days. Just us. Somewhere no one knows you. Let the scandal blow over. Let the city forget. I can't hide forever. Not forever, he said. Just long enough for you to remember who you are when you're not surviving. I swallowed hard. And if I say yes? His lips brushed my forehead, soft and reverent. Then I'll show you what it feels like to be chosen every single day, Zainab. The beach house wasn't on any map. It stood at the edge of a hidden shoreline in a lash, only accessible by a private boat Ademola had arranged. The air smelled like salt, freedom, and everything I never thought I'd deserve. Waves whispered secrets to the sand. The house itself was glass and wood, open and warm, filled with light and silence. No reporters. No whispers. Just us. I stood at the window that first night, wearing nothing but one of his shirts and the sound of the ocean. He came up behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist. "You're quiet," he said. "I'm scared," I replied. His hands didn't move. They just held. Of what? Of forgetting who I used to be. Of liking this too much. Of needing you. His lips touched the side of my neck. "You don't have to be who you were. You don't owe the past your loyalty." I turned. He looked different out here. Softer. Barefoot, in linen pants and nothing else. His chest, his skin, his eyes, they all glowed gold in the moonlight. He looked like sin and salvation. I kissed him. And this time, there was no auction, no contract, no desperation. Just desire. Just us. He lifted me gently, like I was precious, and carried me to the bed. The sheets were white, but everything about what we did was stained with passion. His mouth traced every inch of me like it needed a map. My fingers clawed into his back when he whispered, "Tell me what you want." "You," I gasped. "Say it again." "I want you." When he finally sank into me, slow and deep, my breath caught and the world fell away. No shame. No fear. No auction. Just the sound of our bodies, the weight of our hunger, the rhythm of surrender. He moved like he was memorizing me. Each thrust deeper, more intense. He kissed my lips between moans. Called my name like it meant something holy. I broke beneath him, then rebuilt myself with every touch. We collapsed after, breathless and tangled. His hand stroked my hair. I whispered, "What happens when we leave here?" He answered, "We don't have to. Not until you're ready." Morning came soft and gold. I walked barefoot to the kitchen to find Ademola making breakfast, shirtless and humming. "Is this real?" I asked. He looked up, his smile lazy. "As real as your name in my mouth last night." I blushed. Then he said something that made me freeze. "They found the location of the leak. And Zainab. I think someone close to me helped expose you." The egg sizzled in the pan. But the fire now was in my chest. He said it like a whisper. "They think it's someone close to me." I stood in the kitchen doorway, the sea breeze sneaking past me like it knew something was wrong. Ademola's back was turned to me, his muscles tense, spatula forgotten in the pan of eggs now burning. The man who held me like glass hours ago now stood like iron. "Who?" I asked, voice smaller than I intended. He didn't turn around. "There's only one person who had access to both our files. Someone who knew I was involved with the Velvet Circle and noticed I'd gone dark since you entered the picture." I stepped closer. "Your assistant?" He shook his head. "No. Teo." "Teo?" "My cousin. Business partner. The one who introduced me to the site in the first place." The name sent ice through my veins. I'd seen Teo once in the office, loud, charismatic, always half a step behind Ademola. I remembered his grin. "He always asked about you," Ademola said finally. "At first, I thought it was harmless curiosity. But when I bid on you, when I stopped showing interest in other girls, he knew." The eggs were fully burnt now, smoke curling in the air. "Ademola killed the stove." "I didn't want to believe it," he said. "But yesterday I traced an IP ping. The leak was routed through his server. That afternoon, he made calls." I sat on the patio, knees pulled to my chest, staring at the waves as they crawled toward the shore like they wanted to speak. Part of me wanted to stay hidden in this fragile peace. But peace, I was learning, was never permanent. Especially not for girls like me. Ademola stepped outside. "I have to go back to Lagos," he said, kneeling before me. "But I want you to stay here. It's safe." "No," I said. "I'm not running anymore." His eyes searched mine. "Zainab, they know your name now. They're building narratives. Painting you as some manipulative gold digger who seduced me. I need to control the story before it becomes gospel." I nodded slowly. I'm coming with you, I said. We face this together. His jaw clenched. Then he kissed me. Hard. Desperate. Like he was imprinting me into his bones before we returned to the war. Then we go together. We arrived in Lagos under gray skies. It felt like the city already knew something was broken. As soon as we touched down, Ademola's phone exploded with messages, investors threatening to pull out, journalists demanding statements, gossip blogs publishing blurry photos of me from the office. The narrative was already spiraling. Billionaire CEO caught in secret affair with intern turned escort. Virgin auction scandal rocks core attack. From boardroom to bedroom, who is Zainab? I sat beside him in the backseat of the car, my hands clenched so tight they'd gone numb. Ademola didn't speak. He was in war mode, his jaw locked, eyes cold. When we reached the company headquarters, cameras were waiting. Security formed a wall as we slipped in through the underground entrance. But I still heard them shouting my name. Like I was a spectacle. A villain. We headed straight to the crisis boardroom. Inside were lawyers, PR reps, board members, and Teo. He stood at the head of the table like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't gutted us and left us bleeding. Teo, Ademola said, voice deadly quiet. Leave. Teo smiled. This is my company too, cousin. You leaked the girl I love to the world. She leaked herself the moment you started skipping board meetings to play house, Teo shot back. You were distracted. You made her your weakness. I made it public so we wouldn't all go down with you. Get out, Ademola said. Before I forget we share blood. Teo's gaze flicked to me. Cold. Dismissive. I was trying to protect the brand, he said. You were trying to destroy me, Ademola replied. Teo walked out. But his shadow lingered. Hours later, we sat with a media consultant. The plan was to release a controlled interview, just one. A chance to shift the narrative. They'll eat you alive, the PR woman warned. You need a clean, sharp, sympathetic angle. Ademola looked at me. I'll do it, I said. His eyes narrowed. Are you sure? I nodded. They already think I'm a whore. Let them hear who I really am. The interview aired 2 nights later. Simple set. One camera. No cuts. I told them about Mama's hospital bills. Farida's mistake. The fear of debt. The desperation that drove me to the auction site. How I tried everything else first. I told them about Ademola. How he didn't buy me. He chose me. I didn't cry. But my voice shook when I said, love isn't always born in perfect places. Sometimes it rises from the rubble. And when it ended, the comments flooded in. Some were vile. But many weren't. She's brave. We've all been there, just not so exposed. She didn't sell herself. She saved herself. And when I returned home that night, Ademola was waiting at my doorstep. You didn't just change the narrative, he said. You changed me. Then he dropped to one knee. No ring. No speech. Just his hand over his heart. I don't know where this ends. But I want to fight it beside you. Tears spilled down my face. And I whispered, then let's burn the script and write our own. 3 months later, the world had shifted. People still whispered. They always would. But now the whispers held curiosity instead of venom, admiration instead of scorn. Zainab, the girl from Ajegunle who survived an auction and scandal, had become something else entirely. A story of survival. A symbol of rising. Mama's recovery was slow, but steady. We sat in the garden outside the new private hospital Ademola had moved her to. The sun was soft, golden, and warm on our skin. Mama's head rested against my shoulder, her scarf fluttering in the breeze. I never said it, she murmured, but I always knew you were stronger than me. Tears filled my eyes. I just wanted to protect everyone, I said. I know. And you did. She squeezed my hand. Even your sister. Even when she didn't deserve it. Farida now worked at a non-profit for girls in distress, her own penance. We were still healing, but there was laughter now. And forgiveness. Ademola arrived with 2 takeaway boxes and a smile that melted every nerve in my body. He sat beside me, kissed my cheek, then handed Mama a bouquet of tulips. You spoil me, my son, Mama beamed. He grinned. Only because you let me. Mama winked at me. And you, when are you bringing grandbabies, eh? I flushed. Ademola just laughed. One step at a time. But later, when Mama dozed off, he pulled me aside. He took my hand. I bought us a place. Somewhere quieter. Just ours. No cameras. No past. Just future. My heart swelled. You really think we'll be okay? He cupped my face. Zainab, we've already survived everything designed to break us. What's left but to thrive? I kissed him. It wasn't urgent. It wasn't desperate. It was home. And as the sun dipped behind the clouds, I realized something. The girl who once sold herself to save her family had become a woman who built something greater than survival. She built love. The end. Thank you for journeying with Zainab and Ademola. This story was built to touch hearts, break walls, and make love feel powerful, flawed, and real. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like and comment your favorite moment. Thanks.